Hello again, and happy day to you. Today we are going to be finishing Act 1, Scene 1 of Romeo and Juliet. Just to recap the first half of Act 1, Scene 1, we had the Capulet and the Montague families fighting in the streets. The prince came, broke up their fighting, and he said, "No more fighting, or else your lives shall pay the forfeit," meaning that one of you will die if I catch you fighting again. We left there with everybody leaving. We left off on line 99. Exeunt all but Montague, his wife, and Benvolio. So Montague, Lady Montague, and Benvolio, their nephew, are staying to have a conversation. I want you to read through line 155 and see if you can figure out what they are talking about in their conversation. Benvolio is going to recount some of the events that happened. He's going to tell his side of the story, and then they are going to have a little conversation about Romeo. Go ahead and pause me now. Read to line 155. Okay, great. You read to line 155. Let's talk about what happened. So Montague begins by saying, "Who set this ancient quarrel new approach?" Meaning, who started the fight. Benvolio tells his tale, and then Lady Montague asks, "Oh, where is Romeo? Saw you him today? Right glad I am he was not at this fray." Right, she's asking about her son. Where is Romeo? Benvolio gives us some information as to where Romeo is. He says on line 117, "Where underneath the grove of sycamore that westward rooteth from the city side, so early walking did I see your son." He saw Romeo walking in the early morning amongst a grove of sycamore trees. So out walking in the middle of the woods, early morning. Montague on line 127 said, "Many a morning hath he there been seen, with tears augmenting the fresh morning dew." Right? So he's seen there often, Romeo is walking and crying. Tears augmenting, meaning adding to the fresh morning dew. Montague continues to say, "And private in his chambers," this is line 134, "and private in his chambers pens himself, shuts up his windows, locks fair daylight out." So here we have Romeo. He's often walking in the woods at dawn by himself, crying. He locks himself in his room, shuts all the blinds, lets the sun be shut out, right? So he's sitting in his room in the dark, crying. Benvolio says, "My noble uncle, do you know the cause? What is causing Romeo to feel this way?" Montague, "I neither know it nor can learn of him." So Montague has tried to ask his son what is wrong, but Romeo will not tell him anything. He won't speak to his father. A teenager not talking to their parents. Does this sound familiar? Ha ha. All right, carrying on. Later on in the scene, we see Romeo enter from afar, and Benvolio asks Lord and Lady Montague, "Please you step aside. I'll know his grievance or be much denied." He says, "Why don't you leave, and I will see if I can figure out what is troubling our beloved Romeo." So there, Lady Montague and Lord Montague leave, which leaves Benvolio and Romeo, and they are going to have a conversation. Now, a word on Romeo. Romeo is smooth with words, and he's a very sensitive soul. He's one of my more sensitive characters I've ever written. He does tend to ramble on about love just a little bit, and how love makes him feel. He's very sentimental that way. Gentlemen, you may learn a thing or two from Romeo if you pay close attention. All right, in this next portion that you are about to embark upon, Benvolio is going to be talking to Romeo, and he is going to try to get him to understand what is going on, right? Benvolio is going to be asking Romeo what the matter is, and they are going to talk a little bit about the fight that just occurred. So if you would, please pause me now and read to line 195. Great, you read to line 195. All right, so not much happened in this section, right? They're just giving the normal greetings like, "Good morning, how are you? I'm not well, how are you?" And Romeo is being very sad and mopey at the start of this scene. He says on line 159, "Ay me, sad hours seem long," right? So he's saying that he's sad and the day is moving slowly because he is sad. Then Benvolio says, wait, are you in love? And Romeo says, out of her favor where I am in love. So he does love someone, but she does not love him back. And then he sees that there was a fight because he sees the blood on the street from the fight, and he says, what fray was here on line 171? Benvolio kind of explains, but Romeo is so distraught. He's like, of course there was fighting. Why can't everybody be at peace? And he continues on to ramble about love. And that's pretty much all that happened in that section. In this next section, he is going to tell us a little bit more about why his lady does not love him back. So if you would please pause me now and read all the way to the end of scene 1. Great! You read all the way to the end of scene 1. Let's talk about what happened. So Benvolio continues to press Romeo. On line 200, he says, tell me in sadness, who is it that you love? He's asking, who are you in love with, Romeo? Tell me her name. But Romeo does not tell Benvolio this woman's name. I shall not reveal it now, as you will learn it in the next coming scene. There are some funny moments that they have here. Romeo says, I do love a woman. And Benvolio, being a little funny, says, I aimed so near when I supposed you love. He's like, well, of course you love a woman. That's what I supposed, right? I didn't suppose you were in love with a man. All right, then Romeo. He goes on to explain his love by saying on line 211, she hath Diane's wit. Now, Diane is goddess of the hunt and female chastity, female virginity. So by saying she hath Diane's wit and in strong proof of chastity, well armed. Benvolio asks him, when Romeo says this, then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste? And Romeo says she hath. So we learn that this woman who is denying Romeo's love says that she wants to basically live as a nun. She wants to keep her virginity her whole life, live as a nun, never marry, yada, 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 which is why she claims to be turning Romeo away. However, we never learn whether this is actually true or not. This may be just a ruse that this young woman is putting on to get Romeo to stop courting her. It's like, gentlemen, if you go up to a lady and say, would you like to go to a date with me, wherever you guys go for your dates? I don't know anymore. The theater, maybe. Would you like to go to the theater with me on a date? And the lady says, oh, I already have plans. Or, oh, let me check with my boyfriend. These are just ways for her to avoid going on a date with you. That is exactly what Romeo's love is doing in this play. Benvolio, being the good friend that he is, tries to cheer Romeo up by saying, forget to think of her on line 227, and then on line 230, examine other beauties. He is basically saying there are plenty of other fish in the sea, look around at what is out there. And Romeo replies on line 240, thou canst not teach me to forget. He's like, I will never forget my love. And Benvolio, being the amazing friend and cousin he is, says, I'll pay that doctrine or else die in debt. So Benvolio swears that he is going to help Romeo forget about this girl or die trying. Oh, what a great friend. And that is the end of Act 1. That is all we are going to be reading for today. Tomorrow we will carry on with scene... I said the end of Act 1. That's the end of scene 1. Ha ha ha. That is the end of scene 1. We will carry on with scene 2 tomorrow. Please finish scene 1 of your study guide, and I bid you adieu.